apes together strong.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dreamality and welcome to this episode of Dreamality Talks. Today I'm talking about my 7 favorite movies of 2017. People, these are the best of the best. Well, I like them and I'm going to tell you what it is I love about each of these movies. I'll give you a little taste of what these movies are about so you get an idea. Who knows, maybe you become inspired to watch one of these. Anything's possible. Here are the 2 rules. I'm keeping this video as spoiler free as possible and I'm going by date of theatric release. With that said, let the list begin. Get Out has received a ton of praise from critics and viewers alike. The story is about Chris, an African-American male who goes to visit and meet his white girlfriend's family. At first, Chris is apprehensive. He's not sure how the family is going to react to their daughter being in an interracial relationship. Oh man, he discovers there is a lot more to be worried about. This movie is categorized as a horror mystery thriller, but make no mistake, this isn't one of those horror movies that relies on the supernatural or jump scares to get your heart going. No, this movie aims to progressively make the viewer feel more and more uneasy. It does so through dialogue and mannerisms of the characters surrounding Chris. Not once throughout the movie did I take my eyes off of the screen. You have Chris, this everyday regular guy, thrown into some very unsettling situations. Just watching the movie was making me uncomfortable for Chris, and that's a testament to how great the filmmaking is. The movie weaves together a great story, a smart story, and it's one of those the more times you watch, the more things you're gonna pick up on. In comparison to the tsunami of superhero films that have been flooding the cinema as of late, Logan is a breath of fresh air. It isn't a fun, action and joke-filled epic, although there is action, and this action is awesome, a rated R Wolverine, finally. This is a character-driven film. Even the plot is very small scale. Get this girl from point A to point B and keep her safe. This is probably going to be the final time we see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Patrick Stewart as Xavier. They have been playing these characters for over a decade. What a way to go out. In this film, we see a very different Wolverine. He's old, he's frail, he's vulnerable. He's at the end of his rope. Seeing him get completely wrecked at times, not going to lie, it was pretty painful to watch. Really care about this character. While watching the fighting sequences throughout, this movie does a great job of making you feel the impact of every blow. The only negative I have to say is I'm not a massive fan of the direction the final third took. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. I love Wolverine, I loved Xavier. The big surprise for me is how much I liked that little girl. She is crazy and I do not want to be on her bad side. I liked the final villain and what it represented. Lastly, I loved the final shot. I loved War for the Planet of the Apes. It's my favorite movie of the trilogy. The second movie was really good too, but this one takes the cake. The technology behind this movie is insane. The detail on these apes is out of this world. Let's all take a moment and admire the motion capture, probably the best I have ever seen. Andy Serkis plays Caesar, and he deserves much more credit than he has ever gotten. He does an incredible job. Big round of applause for him. The movie's about apes fighting humans. Everyone's trying to survive. Caesar is one of my favorite movie characters. I love everything he stands for, as well as the internal conflict he struggles with. He wants peace, he cares about his apes, but being the leader means he is the one that needs to make the hard decisions. There were multiple times while watching this movie in the theater that I got chills. Whether it was the beauty of the soundtrack, the intensity behind Caesar's soul-piercing glare, seeing how far Caesar is willing to go to save his apes, as well as how much his apes care for him. Whenever they say apes together strong, I want to stand up and start clapping. There is a lot to love about this movie, and it definitely deserves a spot on this list. Lock your doors, board your windows if you live in Derry, Maine, because a bunch of children are going missing. It's up to a group of kids to put an end to the nightmare, and the root of its cause, Pennywise. Holy smokes, look at that clown. Whoever was in charge of character design, costume, and makeup, congratulations, you made one heck of a scary clown. I can't say how this movie compares to the original from the 90s or how it compares to the book. Haven't seen that original movie, only read half the book, not enough pictures. I have no major complaints about this movie. I thought it did incredibly well in many departments. Cinematography is great from start to finish, the kid actors do a great job. Massive bonus points for the soundtrack. The soundtrack captures the awe and the wonder of being a kid. A lot of times in this genre, the soundtrack consists of a bunch of random instruments, just pluck away at some random strings, rattle some cans, composer calls it a day. There is a melody here, and it's very reminiscent to the older horror movies, such as The Ring. I recommend seeing this movie. If you're worried about it being horrifying, don't be. It's creepy at most. If you enjoy Stranger Things, that TV show, you will like this movie. Blade Runner 2049 is easily the most interesting movie I saw last year. If you are a sci-fi fan, believe me when I say you need to see this movie. It's one of the best sci-fi movies to come out in the past decade. Easily the most interesting movie of 2017 for me. What is the plot about? Ryan Gosling's character, Officer K, discovers something very early on, and it takes him on a journey to find Harrison Ford's character. The main plot isn't what I love about this movie. It's the themes, the subplots, the concepts, the world, the vision of the future. For example, the ideology surrounding the character Joy, who is a hologram, or should I say the product Joy. That's something the movie does very well. It blurs the line for what makes something real. The entire cast is incredible. I really liked Jared Leto's character. I found his motives and his reasoning to be very interesting. Visually, this is a beautiful film. I say the best cinematography of the year. Also the best soundtrack. If you haven't seen this movie and you're kinda interested, here's what you gotta know. This is a long movie running around 2 hours and 40 minutes. The marketing made it look more like an action movie. It is not action-packed in the slightest. I never felt like the movie was wasting my time. Every scene, every moment felt like it was pushing along the story or building the world, selling and enforcing concepts. Anyway, if you can't tell, I liked this movie quite a bit. The setting is 1962 Baltimore. The main character is Eliza, a mute woman who works as a cleaning lady in one of those top secret government facilities. Eliza's life, which was once every day is exactly like the last, turns upside down when a monster is brought into the facility. Her, along with the viewers, grow to care for this monster and want to help it out. The director is Guillermo del Toro, and this is very much his style, a fantasy, very imaginative. This is a story about outcasts, and just about every one of the main characters is an outcast in their own way. Sally Hawkins, who plays Eliza, does an excellent job. Again, her character is a mute, but she doesn't require a single spoken word to convey charm onto the audience. You see the way she dances, how can you not like her? The entire costume design and makeup department do a great job of bringing this creature to life. As usual, Michael Shannon owns his role. And then you have Richard Jenkins, who sounded so familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Then it hit me, he's the T-Rex from Step Brothers. Anyway, a job well done here. Before I talk about the final movie, here are a couple quick honorable mentions. If you enjoy studying performances, acting as a craft, I highly recommend watching Split. This is easily the best acting I've seen from James McAvoy. If you want something to scare you, Annabelle Creation, creepiest, scariest movie I saw last year. I don't trust dolls, dolls are creepy. The first Annabelle movie sucked, this one's way better. The final honorable mention goes to Dunkirk. I'm a massive Christopher Nolan fan, I think he's a brilliant director. It's definitely worth watching, I've only seen it once way back in theaters, and it's something I need to see again. Now it is time for the final movie. The rest of the movies on this list, I like them for different reasons, and because of that, I can't put one above the other. But this final movie is my favorite movie of 2017 for the simple fact that it is the one that surprised me the most. This movie is...
And action!
What line?
Who would have thought that a movie with James Franco and Seth Rogen and the rest of those guys would be this amazing? The Disaster Artist is my favorite movie of 2017, and after I saw it in theaters, I wanted to watch it again right away. This movie is based on a true story, and it's about the making of The Room, a movie that is infamous for being considered one of the worst movies of all time. James Franco puts on an incredible performance acting as Tommy Wiseau. This movie is hilarious at times. Get together with some friends or watch it by yourself, it doesn't matter, you're gonna have fun watching this movie. The movie's funny, it's bizarre. It'll warm your heart too if you let it. It's about guys chasing their dreams in a world that is constantly shutting them down. Because the movie's a true story, I find it so much more interesting. I have not seen The Room yet, but still loved this movie. While watching The Disaster Artist and seeing them film scenes for The Room, I couldn't help but shake my head like, this actually happened. This is a movie, this is a real scene, they thought this was a good idea. People, you got to see this movie. You have heard my thoughts, now it's your turn. What movies did you love of 2017 and why? I didn't see every single movie last year, so share with me your recommendations and I'll put it on my must-watch list. And of course, thank you for watching. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dreamality Talks. If you want to help out, liking, commenting, it goes a long way. My next video will be my very first video game review of 2018, Dragon Ball FighterZ. I am ready to review this game. The last video I uploaded was very important to me, and to see it so well received, you made my start to 2018, so thank you for that. If you haven't checked out that video, I highly recommend doing so, it's pretty awesome. Alright, that's it for now, I'll see you all soon, and thanks again.